I'd say that I lost a bet, but this was by choice.
So why are you a little crappy today, Max?
I'm tired? Question mark? I don't know. It just felt like it.
Just felt like it? You gonna say why you have a crab outfit?
I'll say Spirit Week
Yes,
for my school.
Spirit Week.
If I get into more details, I will dox the location of where I go and other things.
That's good enough. Spirit Week. High school Spirit Week.
I'm a crab.
For the win! Bogdanovich! The open Who gets the play? Oh, he caught it! Caught! Are you? Goes Hapanga.
Hello and welcome to the Eastman Sport Report, your father-son coach-player podcast about the Sacramento Kings and San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Maxwell Eastman, joined once again by my co-host, Steven Eastman.
Hello, Max. You're looking very crabby today.
I'm feeling crabby today, apparently.
Okay, you're feeling very crabby
today. I should put the gloves on again.
Okay, you can put the gloves on and show our audience. Max is crabby today.
I am crabby today.
Yes. So during Max's soccer season, we would give shout-outs for who scored goals.
But
basketball's a little more difficult.
You don't
get if you just score a bucket, you don't get a shout out.
Yeah.
But we haven't done a basketball shout out this year.
We have not. Also, we've been busy through basketball.
Yeah, so that's another
reason. There's a lot more
basketball
basketball later in the day.
In games and stuff like that. So basketball, father, son, coach, player podcast. It's a little bit just our recording schedule is not, let's say, it fits around the basketball school schedule,
Worse.
My work schedule too.
Yeah.
So we thank you all for our listeners. It has been a few weeks since we've been here. We might get the December 29th one where we go out on a rant about Mike Brown being fired. But anyway.
During the video, I kind of had an allergic reaction, so that might just be audio only because I don't want to post a video while I'm getting hives actively.
Yes, his face turns red by the end of the video.
And
so
I'm like scrunched up a little ball because I'm so itchy.
Yes. So we may or may not post that video. We did have a problem with one of the cameras, but we may not post it just for that.
Yeah.
So we might do an audio only version of that video. Anyway, that one. So back to the shout outs for basketball season.
Yes.
The last time your team did have a win, I did want to give out a shout out to Brendan.
Yes.
He did get shots out during soccer too, so same guy.
He's all-around athlete.
All-around athlete. He had a triple-double in our last game, in your last game there. 23 points, 10 assists, and 12 steals.
It's pretty good.
So pretty good for he did have 6 rebounds, but triple-double and steals being the third one. Caleb had 14 points and 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for him. My lovely host here,
2 points.
Max, got 2 points. He did as a stat stuffer. He's not a good scorer. 2 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block shot. That's what
2 block shots, but one of them got called back because they're calling the scoreboard. I'm just saying.
Well, you did score him. You did beat by won the game 63-28, so it's a nice little win. Nice little win for your team there, Max. Okay, back to NFL and what this podcast is normally about.
There's not really any Niners we can talk about, to be honest.
Yeah, we're not planning on talking a whole lot of Niners. We might have a season or more. I don't know if it's more of a season review / look ahead. We'll probably have an episode coming up of what we expect coming up with the Niners. We might sprinkle little things here and there throughout the thing on this episode. Today we're going to talk a lot more about NFL playoffs.
Yes.
And we will go over our thoughts on what's going on with the NFL playoffs. And the most important fun thing is reviewing our season predictions. How good were our season predictions of who made the playoffs? And we made Super Bowl predictions. Are any of our Super Bowl predictions still alive?
I'll just say for one of my predictions, I'm not sorry.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
I'm not sorry. It was an in-the-moment thing. You know how I said that I didn't know if Jaden Daniels was good at the beginning of the season because he might be injury-prone?
He did say that.
I did say that.
If you go back to listen to season 1 episode or season 2 episode 1.
I made a mistake. I'll be the first one to say it. I made a mistake.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is pretty good.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to go through everything in our season recap thing, but just one of the things we said is, what is the best rookie quarterback? Because there was a lot of good rookie quarterbacks.
Bo Nix, it was actually pretty good. So, like, I thought I was going to be wrong about that. I'm being so honest.
Yeah.
But, like,
and we were thinking, everybody was like, at the beginning of the season, Caleb Williams was going to have, he had the Avengers team is what you called it. The Avengers team with him was like, he was supposed to be really good. And
he was doing really good. And then he played Jaden Daniels, and then they lost like 13 in a row.
And they got their coach fired. But today they got a new coach. So Caleb Williams now has...
he has a little hope.
Ben Johnson is his new coach.
The Bears fans have some hope, which is a dangerous thing to say to Bears fans. Because I know it's going to be broken at some point.
Sorry. But yes, so in recapping, we're just finished up we may not cover a whole lot of the wild card round, but I do like the divisional round. It's the top 8 teams left. It's 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. It's a great weekend just to sit down and watch all the football. And since we didn't have a team in there that we're like, super involved in, it was fun just to watch football.
It's really nice when you just get to watch football and there's nothing behind it for you. There's no like emotional resonance like, oh, we might play this team or that
or like,
team.
Hey, I'm rooting for this team, but if they lose, oh well.
That's how we're feeling. Except for the Chiefs. I hate the Chiefs. Please, anyone but the Chiefs.
So my storyline, if I was to write an article in the Eastman Sport Report about my quick summary of this weekend's games in the divisional round, the 4 games we had, was the story of turnovers.
Yes.
3 of the 4 games were totally decided by turnovers. So the Chiefs and the Texans game, neither one had a turnovers. That was 0-0.
I just hit the mic.
That one was... Anyway, the Chiefs won. I'll get into that later. But the Lions had 5 turnovers and lost. The Rams had 2 turnovers and lost, and the Ravens had 3 turnovers and lost. All the teams that won had 0 turnovers. The interesting thing about these games, was the total yardage leader lost every single game.
Yeah. I heard about that too.
Yeah, so that was weird. Like the Texans had 336 yards, so the Chiefs got 212. And lost. The other thought I thought that was very interesting. Let's see if I can find my note. Here it is. The fewest passing yards in a home playoff win.
The Chiefs game?
No.
The Bills game?
2 out of the top 4.
It was the Bills game.
Was the Bills and the Eagles. So Josh Allen only had 127 passing yards. Jalen Hurts had 128.
Well, you have Saquon Barkley on the other side. So
yeah, and Josh Allen ran for a lot, and his offense. Both games were played in the snow.
Yes,
I mean Philadelphia and Buffalo.
I love seeing snow games. They're so visually appealing to me.
Yeah, it is quite fun. But Blake Bortles in 2017 is the leader in fewest passing yards in a home playoff win with 87.
Not even Jimmy Garoppolo against the Green Bay Packers in 2020.
No, he had more than that, I guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts had 121. Oh, this does say minimum 20 attempts. I think Jimmy Garoppolo had less than 20 attempts.
Let me look at the stats.
In
I'll
that
be back.
game. Okay. So Josh Allen is number 3rd, and Jalen Hurts is number 4 in fewest passing yards in a home playoff win since 2000, just for clarification for this list. So, yeah, not the other thing I would say is so turnovers is a big story of the game, and rushing. Can you stop the run, and can you run the ball? Especially when the 3 games are played outdoor in the cold. The Chiefs was cold but not snowy.
Okay. Jimmy Garoppolo had 8 pass attempts against the Green Bay Packers, so he does not make the list for over 20.
How many yards did he get that game?
77.
77.
Wait. Yeah, 77.
Okay. Well, so he would be the top of that list if they just took everybody. But the list that I'm looking at is minimum 20 attempps.
So like the quarterback actually did something that game.
Yeah. They were actually trying to throw the ball, not like Jimmy Garoppolo did not.
Raheem Mostert had 220 yards.
Yeah.
29 carries.
So
4 touchdowns. I'm done.
So we're throwing a Niner stuff in here. We'll throw Niner stuff in, of course, as we go through the playoffs. So, a quick recap of each of the games. If we do the in order that they appeared, so Texans-Chiefs was game number 1 on the weekend, Saturday afternoon. It was solid defensive performance by the Chiefs. If I was to say a MVP on the Chiefs is Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
The most valuable person on the Chiefs roster, the whole team organization is Steve Spagnuolo. That Chiefs defense is good.
No one's denying it.
They sacked C.J. Stroud 8 times. Stroud did throw for 245 yards, but he faced pressure on 19 of his 41 dropbacks. Special teams was also costly for Houston. Hey, Kyle Shanahan, get us a good off special teams coordinator and actually prioritize it this year. Okay, sorry.
And a kicker.
As kicker for the Texans,
because the kicker
Fairbairn missed a 55-yard field goal and an extra point, and with 2 minutes remaining, they had a field goal attempt blocked. So they basically lost. Would that be 7 points?
And they lost by 9. Well, they were down by 11, and then the Chiefs scored a safety on purpose to sort of seal the game.
Yeah,
but you could have been down by a.
Yeah, it would have been a one-possession game, and you're actually trying to win at the end of the game. But your special teams has to come through. You have to make your kicks not block, get kicks blocked and stuff like that. So
the Broncos would know a lot about that. The Niners would know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Especially when you get your kicks blocked by the Chiefs in the playoffs.
So
last year's Super Bowl. Anyway.
If you I didn't look at this for every single game. I didn't write this down. But I looked through PFF, a little bit of their summary. Their highest graded players in that game, which is interesting when you look at some of the games. I wrote this stuff down here, who it was. Travis Kelce and Nico Collins were the 2 highest rated players in that game.
Did you know that there was only, for the Chiefs-Texans game, there's only 1 wide receiver for the Chiefs that caught passes, and that was Xavier Worthy.
And he's the rookie, isn't he?
Yeah. Hopkins didn't catch any passes, and Juju Smith-Schuster didn't catch any passes. Only Xavier Worthy. I think that's crazy. Travis Kelce was their leading receiver that game.
In some ways, is Travis Kelce a wide receiver or tight end?
He's a large wide receiver.
Because George Kittle is a tight end because he blocks and he catches passes.
Yes.
That is a tight end. Travis Kelce, I agree with you, is a large wide receiver. He's going to have more yards and more receptions.
He's a better blocker than most wide receivers, but he's not a tight end.
Well, most. I would say Juan Jennings might be, he's
Juan Jennings is not a blocker. He's a shover. There's a difference. He's a manhandler. This is different.
He loves to block. Anyway, so yes, Travis Kelce, Nico Collins were the number 1. The other thing is in this game, I don't want to talk about a whole lot, but it's the only game this weekend where the officials actually are part of the story, and wow, it's the Chiefs.
Who would have guessed? Me. It was me. I guessed every single time.
It's just ridiculous how, I would actually like to see a game in the playoffs where the Chiefs are not, get all these special calls and see if they win. I know they're really good.
Yes, they are.
I get it.
They're objectively a good team.
They are really good, but they don't need the help of the officials.
It's just a bad look for the NFL because if your best team in the league is getting all these calls, it's just a bad look. It looks like you're favoring someone. It's just bad for your product overall. If there's one team overall getting all these calls, if your announcers are publicly saying almost every single time that it's a bad call and that's the wrong call, if I'm new to the sport, I'm like, why don't you change the call?
Yeah,
because this guy who's on TV, he's the guy who's knows everything because he's on TV. He's paid for this. Why don't they just change the call if it's wrong?
I know it's the Chiefs story for the past couple of years.
Yes.
It's throughout this whole season. At the beginning of the season, almost every win they had was because not greatly helped by the Chiefs or by the officials. It's just
you can point to half of their wins this season were helped in some way by the officials.
It's just I don't know if it's a joke, but it's just a running theme throughout the whole season of NFL, you have a major problem when the team's going for a three-peat and no one really trusts them. We like to see, are they really that good? Because we don't know. Patrick Mahomes is good. Travis Kelce is good.
Yes.
Spagnuolo's defense is good. They don't need your help, Mr. Officials. Anyway,
I want to see a team prove. I want to see the Chiefs team prove themselves, which they did in 2020 when they beat us. Well, sort of they had help from the refs, but like that was different back then. And then they beat the Eagles because they deserved it because they were just a better team than the Eagles.
Yeah,
and like I just want to see them.
So the one thing I do want to say
it.
is I saw this from Matt Mayoko, NBC Sports Bay Area, I think is who he's on. He put this on Twitter. We call it Twitter. He proposed a fix to the rule, and I like this. Just to run it briefly by here. So one of the things was Mahomes, right as he's running up to the defender, and he actually ran around a little bit, and then he just drops to his knees right before the defenders, and the defenders get a flag.
Yes.
Like, that's the
dumb call.
But they need to change that. They have to change that. Like that, and I think they should increase the rosters from 53 men to like 55 or 57. Would be my things. If I was commissioner, this is some of the things I would change. I like Miyoko's suggestion was saying late slides into defenders' feet should be an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. There needs to be a 3-yard cushion on slides. Like, you have to slide 3 yards. If you're when the defender is 3 yards away from you, you have to slide 3 yards before, or it's an unsportsmanlike conduct against you for sliding too close. Like, come on. So I like that. I like that suggestion.
I agree. I think it should be more of if the defender's already in motion to tackle you and then you slide.
Yeah, you're like, come on. I like the 3 yards thing, but there has to be something like that.
Because like the tackle on Trevor Lawrence with Azeez Al-Shire, who's on the Texans, which the Chiefs just played the Texans. That was a late hit. He was already in the motion, but he aimed so low, like it was.
But the thing is, like, if you go back to the 3-yard cushion, if Trevor Lawrence had to slide 3 yards before, he would have been sliding, and then before he would have got hit. Like, that's the idea, is you want to protect the quarterbacks. Okay, we'll make them slide 3 yards before the defender gets there, so that you don't get hit. Like the defense can't react that fast. Like, you want to protect the quarterback, we'll make him slide earlier.
Bless you. Anyway, we're gonna move on from the refs.
Okay, next game. We got the Commanders and the Lions. This game was
what happened, Lions? You look like the best. I want to. Go ahead. You look like the best team throughout the entire season, and then you played the Niners. Everyone, wait, is their defense sort of a problem? Because you're playing the Niners, who have not looked good all season, and suddenly they're doing this to you. They're putting up all these points. Their offense looks amazing. I have no problem with the Lions' offense. They scored 31 points, but you needed 46 to win this game. If you need to score 46 points in a playoff game, well, that's your defense's fault. That's because your defense is so injured.
Oh yeah, totally.
That you don't have enough men, like you're saying. You need like a 55, 56 man roster to accommodate for all these injuries that are happening.
When they increased from a 17-game season, and eventually I know they want to get to an 18-game season, you got to increase the roster size.
Yes, or introduce a second bye week at some point.
I think you need both.
I think if you want to have if you want to have a 18-game season, I think George Kittle said this as well. If you want to have an 18-game season, great. Add a second bye week, and then every single Super Bowl Sunday falls on President's Day weekend.
Well, the bad thing is if you add 18 and a bye week, you're adding 2 weeks. You only if you add 1 week to the season, then it would fall on Super Bowl would fall on President's Weekend. So if you had 2 weeks,
18, and then you change another week to a bye game. So it's still 17 games, but there's 18. It's 19 weeks.
Oh, just add a second bye, but don't add the 18th game. See, I think they're only going to get the only way they're going to do the second bye week is adding the 18th game. Okay. In my opinion. And that means you're adding 2 more weeks. Or you can
take away a preseason game as well.
Well, but would the NFL really start on Labor Day weekend? They used to. Anyway, so that's I get that's the dilemma. Back to the game here. Rookie Jade Daniels. We said earlier
he's good.
He's really good.
He's good.
He does.
I've heard some things. Is he the best rookie ever? Rookie quarterback ever?
That's a really hard. I don't know who else to compare him to. Because
what other rookie quarterback is here?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger probably had the best record, but he had amazing defense on the Steelers back then. I think they went 15-1 that year.
The Commanders have the 18th best scoring defense in the league.
So there's been some other good rookie quarterbacks, but from how much is on his shoulders?
Carrying his team?
Yeah, when Jaden Daniels had 300 yards in total offense in 2 weekends, I think they put up a stat somewhere saying that it was like the first time ever or something like that. He only had 299 yards and 2 touchdowns throwing, but he had 51 yards rushing. without a single turnover-worthy play, which we talked about earlier about turnovers, because the Lions had 5 turnovers, 3 interceptions from Jared Goff, 1 fumble he lost, and then 1 turnover where they tried to do a trick play, and the wide receiver came around and threw a pick as well. Wasn't the Niners? I saw another one that really actually doing a trick play, and the guy got there, and instead of throwing it, he threw it away, or he just ran with it. Like hey, I'm supposed to throw it, but the guy's covered, so I'm not going to force it.
I don't know.
I don't remember what it was, but anyway, I remember seeing that recently. But that's not what
I honestly have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to be honest.
I think that's what Williams did, because he was doing a trick play.
And you just forced it?
And he forced it, and he threw the interception. So, and I think that happened at the beginning of the 4th quarter. Like, it was still kind of like a close game.
Yeah.
Anyway, bad decision on Williams' part. He needs to be coached to, hey, if it's not there, throw it away or just run with it and get something. Okay, next game. Philadelphia Eagles and
Rams.
the Rams. I think the Rams played better than I expected. I expected them to play good.
Yes.
Because they'd been playing really good the second half of the season. Really, maybe the last third of the season, they were playing really good. But they ran into Saquon Barkley.
And Saquon Barkley
runs. And more Saquon Barkley. And the Philadelphia offensive line. Like, that offensive line, I don't know how to grade offensive lines. It's probably one of the best offensive lines in all of football. And then you get one of the best running backs behind it. You get 205 rushing yards.
If Christian McCaffrey had that type of offensive line, we'd be... If the Niners had that type of offensive line, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Like, they got a guy, Becton is a guard who was drafted at a first-round draft pick by, I think, the Jets, of course. And he was drafted as a tackle, and they turned him into a guard, the Eagles did. And, by the way, he's really good. He just was manhandling people out there. And that was your guard. So he did really awesome. He had 170 yards after contact, according to PFF. 2 long touchdowns. First was an opening 62 yards, and he sealed the game in the 4th quarter with a 78-yard run. Now, it's in the snow. I get that. And the defense can't cut. But still, he's running on the same surface. So, when the Niners were playing in Buffalo, they kind of ran all over. But that's what you got. When you play in these snow games, you got to be able to run the ball. And good job on Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. Again, Jalen Hurts, he did okay. Nothing special.
You don't need a Jalen Hurts if you have a Saquon Barkley.
In that offensive line. Yeah. The Rams did keep it close. One other thing that was interesting, I was reading through PFF's thing. They call it Jalen Carter delivered a key sack on 3rd down. And they also Stafford's 4th down pass, was incomplete because the Eagles' defense was getting pressure on Stafford, and Jalen Carter. Hey, by the way,
oh my gosh, yes,
they're always looking for Niners tie-ins here. The tie-in with Jalen Carter and the Niners is the Niners signed Javon Hargrave away from the Eagles 2 seasons ago.
And then they drafted Jalen Carter because of it.
And then they drafted Jalen Carter. And you're like, what do I want the Niners to do this season? Make a draft a difference maker on the defensive line at your number 11 pick. I could be okay with an offensive lineman, but I want a difference maker like Jalen Carter would be awesome along the defensive line. Like, that's what I really want is type of thing. Anyway, there's my Niners tie-in. The highest graded 2 players for that game, both Eagles. And both on the offense and defensive lines, on the lines. Landon Dickerson of a guard from the Eagles, and then a defensive lineman, Jalen Carter, had a score of 91.3.
I just realized I left my water in the car.
Okay.
I feel sad about it.
Okay, last game. Anything else about the Eagles?
I don't have anything else about the Eagles.
Eagles or Rams?
Yeah.
Okay, Buffalo Bills beat the Ravens.
Oh, that was such a good game.
That was a good game. It was back and forth.
It was a snow game as well.
Yeah, it wasn't as snowy.
It's like a sleet game.
Yeah, it had it on the field, but it wasn't as bad as the Eagles game.
It's such a good... what was I thinking? I tried to say something, and then I didn't. What? I thought initially coming into this that I wanted the Bills to win, but I thought the Ravens were going to win because I don't get anything I ever want in sports.
Okay.
But I thought the Ravens were going to win this because they seemed like the better team. Like, hold on, how the Bills dominated the Broncos, but it's the Broncos, and they were just happy to be there in the playoffs. Versus how the Steelers completely demolished a team that they had lost to early in the season, which is also a division rival in the Steelers. I thought it was going to be a way better game. I thought the Ravens were going to have a way better game than they did. They basically didn't do anything past their opening drive for the entire first half, which is really weird to see them do, especially since the Bills don't have the greatest defense. They still have a good defense, but don't have
their defense stepped up.
Yeah, their defense stepped up. I think Lamar had three interceptions.
Yeah,
two something.
Two turnovers. Well, 2 turnovers and a fumble, so he had 3 turnovers.
Okay,
two interceptions. Sorry, 2 interceptions and a fumble.
Like Von Miller almost had a scoop and score in that game because of a botched snap by Lamar Jackson.
And the fumble was interesting, where it's like it was a botched snap, and then it's like he turned around and
he tried to do something with it, but he didn't have control of it. So I thought he should. And then, like, you're Lamar Jackson. It didn't look hard to get control of the ball. He still had time to. That's just a him problem.
And that one specific turnover so changed the outcome of the game.
Yes.
Because they returned it. They didn't get a touchdown out of it, but they returned it, and the Bills got a touchdown out of that. And you lose by 2. You lose by the 2-point conversion. And Mark Andrews?
Yeah, Mark Andrews dropped
the 2-point conversion, like literally dropped it.
Like I could have made that catch, dropped it, turnover.
You're like that Lamar Jackson fumble was huge. Like even the first 2 interceptions they could have come back from, but that one fumble in the fourth quarter, that was huge. He now falls to a 3-5 in postseason play for Lamar Jackson. And the last couple of years, he's wins 1, loses 1. He's never won 2 games in the same postseason.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess he's getting better, and I do think, like, if I was to start a team, would I want Lamar Jackson? He probably wouldn't be at top of my list, but maybe in the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks I'd pick.
If you had to choose Lamar Jackson over Brock Purdy, you'd probably choose Lamar Jackson.
That's a tough choice, Lamar Jackson or Brock Purdy.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think you're Niners.
Maybe
I think your rose-tinted Niner glasses are a little too rose-tinted right now, but
I mean, but efficiency-wise, Brock Purdy's way better. But there's other things Lamar Jackson does way better than Brock Purdy. So that was a great game. Josh Allen, ends his streak of 3 straight rounds losing in the divisional round. He gets back to the AFC Championship game for the second time in his career. And we'll see how he does against the Chiefs.
So let's just skip ahead for a little bit.
One thing here, in the highest graded players for those 2 games were 2 defensive players for the Buffalo Bills. Big surprise. The Buffalo Bills defense played way better than expected, and they get 2 highly graded players from PFF. Go ahead, sorry.
What are the players?
Oh, the players' names is safety Taylor Rapp from Buffalo Bills. I got an 85, and defensive lineman Ed Oliver from the Buffalo Bills. He got an 85.
Okay.
So those are the 2 highest.
So the first thing I want to say before we say our Super Bowl predictions,
yes.
Jaden Daniels. I don't know why I said Williams.
You're getting a little crab infested in your brain or something.
I need to take this off.
Okay, yeah, take off your crab that's sucking your head out. Okay.
Jaden Daniels has made a NFC Conference Championship game before Joel Embiid has made an Eastern Conference Finals. That is my takeaway. Anyway, Super Bowl predictions.
And if you want to go just a little more fun, who now is the NFC team that has the longest drought in making a championship game?
Actually, every single team has made the NFC Championship game, besides this team after the year 2000, if you want to go even farther.
Yes.
So it's been an entire millennium before this team has made it.
Yes.
It's the Cowboys.
It's been 30 years since the Cowboys have made a conference championship game.
How about them Cowboys?
And if for those of you wondering, overall NFL history, it's the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns both have 32 seasons. I think technically the Cowboys are 29 seasons because of, anyway, it's the 95 season, so it's the 96 championship game they made. Anyway, 29 seasons for the Cowboys. It's 32 for the Dolphins and the Browns. Anyway, there's your trivia thing. Okay, back to our Super Bowl predictions. Who's going to make the Super Bowl, Max?
So who I want to make the Super Bowl and who I think will make the Super Bowl, two very, very different questions.
We'll answer both of them for us.
So who I want to make the Super Bowl is obviously the Bills versus the Commanders, like two teams who have, like the Bills who has lost 4 Super Bowls in a row and never been back, actually finally making the Super Bowl again. That would be a great storyline. And the Commanders coming back all the way from Dan Snyder hell to actually make the Super Bowl in their first full rebrand season with Jaden Daniels and this whole new brand of Commanders and this new culture that they have. That would be an amazing Super Bowl to watch. And there's two such fun young teams.
Okay.
That would be amazing. Seeing Jaden Daniels bring his team as a rookie all the way to the Super Bowl would be amazing. And he'd be one of the greatest he would probably be a top 5 quarterback right now if he did that. Or I could go with the obvious pick and pick the Chiefs and Eagles.
So that's he thinks what's actually going to happen is Chiefs and Eagles.
It's the Super Bowl that America doesn't want, but it's the Super Bowl that America will get.
Okay.
Because hold on, let me pull up something. Let's go here. The last time the Commanders faced a healthy, let's say, I'm going to preface this, healthy Eagles team, because when they played them the second time, because division rivals, they won by 3 points with Kenny Pickett as the Eagles quarterback. The backup scored 33 points on you. The last time you played a healthy Eagles offense, you lost 26-18. And now the Eagles are fully healthy. You're fully healthy as well. You just beat the Lions by a ton. So you may have a lot of momentum, but you're not, because also the Commanders matched up really well with the Lions. I want to say this quickly. The Commanders are really, really good against man defenses. Like, Terry McLaurin is really good against man defenses. And the Lions love running man defenses with blitzes on third down. And that's the way that the Commanders killed the Lions, because they are able to beat those man defenses. Because Jaden Daniels is able to put the ball perfectly where Terry McLaurin and his other wide receivers can get it.
He can drop some dimes. That's totally true.
And then the Chiefs have had the Bills numbers in the playoffs for 4 times in a row now, and you 100% have the refs on your side. Like, it's not even a question anymore how the refs are favoring the Chiefs. Like, it's just a fact of football that the refs favor the Chiefs. So what I think is going to happen is the Chiefs versus the Eagles. What I want to happen is the Bills versus the Commanders. What I think could happen is the Chiefs versus the Commanders. I don't think the Bills are going to win.
Okay, that's Max's
thoughts. But my final prediction, if I wanted to stamp it, seal it, write it down, bet money on it, put a parlay down, something, Chiefs versus the Eagles.
Okay. So I agree with you that I would love to see Buffalo versus the Commanders. I think that'd be a great storyline. Tons of storylines to go in there. Type of thing.
Two teams that you just want to see succeed.
Yeah. I actually think Buffalo is going to beat the Chiefs because
they did it this year.
Because they beat them earlier in the season, and I just think Buffalo is ready to go. Like, their defense is playing good. I think Buffalo is going to be able to go beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, the ultimate test in Kansas City. We'll see how Spagnuolo's defense is going to be amazing and awesome. It may not be that high scoring of a game. Like, you might have to get 23 points to win this game. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Even if you get to 20, you might
23 points.
You might only get to 20.
You mean the score that the Chiefs had to beat the Texans?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think you only need about that much. You're not going to need to score 30 or 40 points to win this game. This is going to be a low-scoring game on that type of thing. But I actually think the Buffalo Bills will do it against Patrick Mahomes and stop his three-peat chance. Eagles, Commanders.
This is the harder game to choose, in my opinion.
Because I would like to see the Commanders do it. Now, the other thing is I don't know what the weather forecast is, But if it is just another snow game or something like that, well, both of these games are probably going to be cold weather, very cold weather. I get that. I wonder how much the cold is going to affect Jaden Daniels' throwing. Probably not a lot, but it definitely helps Saquon Barkley. And that Eagles offensive line and Saquon Barkley, I think, is going to get them to the Super Bowl. The Commanders' defense is playing pretty good, and they stopped the Lions. But unless they can get 3 to 4 turnovers, I don't think they're going to beat the Eagles. I don't think the Commanders' defense can stop Saquon Barkley, and it's definitely not a Jalen Hurts issue. It's all about that offensive line and and Saquon Barkley. So that's my prediction, and that's why I think it's going to be Eagles-Buffalo. And both of them going down to the Big Easy in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. So, and that one you're like, okay.
Do you want to do a Super Bowl prediction for for our teams?
We actually probably will have hopefully we should have another podcast before that happens.
Okay.
So we'll have to save that for what actually happens.
Okay, before that, and before we do our what we did earlier in the season.
Yes.
We've been talking for a while already, so we need to.
Yeah, I need to move this along here.
So we can get to the Kings. Oh gosh, we haven't talked about the Kings yet. I just realized that.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about the Kings. Who do you think is going to be the MVP this year? Because I know I have my answer, but I want to hear your answer.
Briefly, Josh Allen.
I really wanted to pick Lamar Jackson because I knew that you were going to pick Josh Allen. Because Lamar Jackson had objectively numbers-based a better year than Josh Allen did. But Josh Allen did more with less, and he got a better record.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we could go through a couple other. I do think, just briefly,
Coach of the year is Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings.
I could get behind
Yeah.
that. Offensive player of the year, I think, is Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So the same thing where it's like offensive player of the year was Christian McCaffrey, and then Saquon Barkley.
I could also see Jamar Chase, maybe, because he was the Triple Crown winner.
That's true.
I think Chase is going to be the runner-up, but I don't think he's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry's in the option for that too. But I think Saquon.
But it's Saquon Barkley. There's not a question.
Defensive player of the years. I look at the odds, and it's like T.J. Watt, Patrick Surtain, Myles Garrett.
I don't think it's T.J. Watt because he didn't really do a lot in the second half of the season.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Patrick Surtain because want to know how many passes got thrown to him this season?
How many?
16.
Wow, that's like one a game, or less than one a game.
When you also, I don't remember this exactly. I don't remember the exact numbers, but when you throw to Patrick Surtain, you have the worst QBR in league history.
Well, yeah, in the Niners, Lenore is not that bad or not that good, but he was still pretty good, and that's why he got paid. Comeback player of the year. I would love to see Sam Darnold get it.
What did he come back from? The Jets?
Yeah.
The Panthers?
I mean, he came back from being the backup quarterback last year.
That's just most improved player, in my opinion.
Yeah, they don't
comeback
have
player of the year. If you want to say comeback player of the year, I'm definitely stealing this from someone else because they gave me the idea for it. But J.K. Dobbs.
Okay, he's number 3 on the odds list. Joe Burrow's number 1.
What did he come back from? 1 season of being injured?
He was injured for half of the season.
He was good. He was good. He just got injured. Okay.
Anyway,
my answer. Can I explain J.K. Dobbs real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
He tore almost every single muscle inside his leg at one point or another, and yet he has come back and been a top 5 leading rusher this year. That's very impressive. What's his name? I can't remember. If Joe Flacco can win comeback player of the year with top 5 stats for the games that he played, because he didn't play out every game, so he wouldn't be there anyway. But for J.K. Dobbs playing as well as he did, and the 2 games that the Chargers played without J.K. Dobbs this season, they lost both, which showed how important he is to the Chargers team. I think he should be the comeback player of the year because he actually came back from something instead of just being in a bad situation.
No, I totally.
If you want to take the name seriously,
yes,
that's how I would take it.
Yes.
But if I would put money on it, again, if I am a betting man, I would say Sam Darnold because I am not. I don't bet yet. I'm not 18. I can't do that.
Yeah.
August, when I have a job, maybe. No, I'm not. It's not worth it.
Okay, so let's go briefly. through our review of our preseason predictions.
I got everything wrong.
Not everything. Not everything wrong. Let's see. So we both in the NFC West picked the Niners.
Wow, I wonder why we did that. It's not like there's any reason or anything.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
they're also in the Super Bowl, so
we got that wrong.
Makes
but
sense.
they did win the NFC last year, so it's not like it was just us and we're homers.
And then they got injured to high heaven.
NFC South, Max picked the Buccaneers. I picked the Falcons, so Max got that one right. Good job.
I got one.
NFC East,
I got one.
I picked the Eagles. Max picked the Cowboys.
I got one.
I got one now. And then I picked the Lions. I'm up to 2. Max picked the Packers.
I got one.
You got one of the NFC division winners. I got two.
The Packers at least made the playoffs.
Yeah. Not like the Cowboys and the Niners. Or the Falcons.
The NFC North had 0 playoff wins, and they have 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Zippo.
Yeah. In AFC West, wow, we both picked the Chiefs.
I got 2.
Okay. At AFC East, I picked Buffalo.
Don't say it. I know what you're gonna say. Don't say it.
You picked the Jets. Sorry, I can't. You picked the Jets.
If you told me in the middle of the season that the Jets, if you told me at the beginning of the season before the Jets actually played a football game that they traded for Devontae Adams, I would say they'd be the 1 seed. I'm saying it right now. There is no way on paper that if you look at the Jets team, they would be 3-14?
Yeah.
And they are?
Yeah, I know. And then they fired their coach in the middle of the season and all that fun stuff.
Can I have Robert Saleh, please? Apparently, he's going to have a second interview with the Jags, what I'm kind of scared about. But, can we have Robert Saleh, please?
I would love to have him back as a defensive coordinator.
Please.
Even if we have to pay him a whole lot.
I want a good defense again.
Okay, AFC North. We both picked the Bengals. They didn't even make the playoffs.
Well, if it was the Bengals if there was only offense that played, they would be the best team in the league.
Okay, so we both got that one wrong, and then we both picked the Texans.
I got 3.
So Max got 3 out of 8 right. I got 4. Yeah, no, I got 5.
My reasoning
I got
for
5.
picking the Texans.
I got 5 right.
My reasoning for picking the Texans was, who else do I pick?
Yeah,
the Colts.
Yeah. Then we also did pick the 7 teams to make the playoffs.
I got these wrong too.
I mean, you take the division winners, and then I said the Jets would make it as a wild card team, and I said the Ravens, Dolphins. So I picked the Dolphins. And Max questioned me on that. I listened back to it, and he's like, "You take the Dolphins?" I'm like, even back then, he was not picking the Dolphins. Max did pick the Chargers winning with Harbaugh, so good job on that.
I got 4.
You got 4 there. If you go to the East or the AFC,
who did I have for the playoff teams?
You had Chiefs, Bengals,
Yeah.
Jets, Texans. That's 2.
Texans,
Bills, Ravens,
Chargers. I have 5 out of 7. Okay, that's really good.
And
no one would have picked the Broncos.
I got
no one would have picked the Broncos.
2, 3. I only got 4.
I'm better than you.
I picked more division winners, but you picked more of that.
I'm better than you.
Okay, in the NFC,
I got every single wild card team right.
Max picked for this number 1 seed.
I said at the beginning of the season that this team is a really good regular season team. I will stand on that ground. They are a really good regular season team. Now,
season.
Were they a good team?
Not this season.
Can I finish my sentence? Were they a good team this season?
How about them Cowboys?
You didn't even let me finish my thought.
I know I didn't.
You didn't want me to.
No, I didn't want you to finish your thought on how good the Cowboys would be, because I love seeing the Cowboys lose.
I said they're going to be the 1 seed. I said they're going to lose in the divisional round.
Yeah,
because they're the Cowboys and they can't win they can't win in January. But I said they were going to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, but they couldn't win in December or
October or September.
Okay, they might have won a few games in September. Whatever. Okay. We both picked the Niners. I picked the Lions to be number 2. So I picked Lions and Eagles.
I picked the Lions.
And Packers and Rams. So I got 4 teams right. Max picked the Cowboys, 49ers.
Yeah.
Packers.
Packers is 1 team.
Buccaneers. Lions. Eagles, Rams. So Max still got
I have 5 out of 5. I have 5 out of 5. I only miss on the divisional teams.
So I'm doing better on the divisional wins. He did better on the playoff teams.
I did better overall of who made the playoffs.
Yes.
I did worse record-wise.
Okay.
Jets, baby. Let's
Super
go.
Bowl prediction. Mine was boring. Chiefs Niners. I did a repeat of last year's Super Bowl. I said both teams get it back. I still have a chance of getting half right.
Because you're boring and you picked the Chiefs.
I know I did. I'm sorry. I read the script.
What script?
Max picked the Bengals and the 49ers.
If it was offense only, the Bengals would be the best team in the league. I will stand and die on that ground.
Okay, Max predicted on the Niners season their ceiling was 15-2. He said the floor was 12-5.
I should have a lower floor.
Not 6-11 was what they ended up.
I should have a lower floor.
Of course, I predicted it to be. Max did say, he did say this in jest in the thing, so I wrote it down. If everyone gets hurt, they only have 2 wins. So you had a little.
Okay, so my thing was that if they underperform but they're still healthy, they're 12-5. If everyone gets hurt, they're 2.
So they were like half hurt because they only got 6 wins out of 2.
Yeah,
So
because not everyone get injured.
They still had Brock Purdy.
Because not everyone got injured, just most of the important players.
Yeah. Anyway.
It wasn't everyone. It was just most of them this year.
Yeah, just most of them. I mean, Fred Warner played. He just was playing through his ankle injury.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered early season Fred Warner.
Oh yeah,
those were the good days.
I mean, he was NFL Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year candidate in the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then he hurt his ankle.
And then he fractured his ankle and went, "Nah, I'm not going to rest."
I did predict the Niners to go 13-4, so I was way off.
What was their floor?
I did not give it. I just said 13-4 was going to be their record. Max said he would not narrow down You would not narrow down an actual record. You just gave yourself a range.
And I was closer than you on one part, saying that we might get hurt.
One of the other things we said was best rookie QB.
I said Caleb Williams. I did say Bo Nix could do it, and he's almost did. We didn't say Jaden Daniels.
He said Jaden Daniels would get injured. And the Broncos would 9 games, so you said Bo Nix. You also said Drake May would play 6 to 7 games is what you said.
How many wins did the Broncos get?
But you said Caleb will be the best this year, and Bo Nix will be the best long term is what you said. I said it would be Bo Nix because of Sean Payton.
Wait, who did I say long season?
This season you said Caleb Williams. You said Bo Nix will be the best long term.
That is yet to be seen.
That's true.
Oh, the Broncos were 10-7.
Yeah.
I was 1 game off.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Broncos won 9, so
I was 1 game off.
We also did another one of who would be going from worst to first in their division.
I said the Bengals.
We both said the Bengals.
Yay! Did anyone actually do that?
No, no one didn't. No one went first to worst. Niners might next year. Max thought the Panthers could do it. Max talked for a long time about how good the Panthers would be this year.
What do you mean? When did I say that?
In the preseason prediction.
Did I say that they could make the playoffs?
You said that they would. You said that they could do it. Yeah, that's what you said. Could do it.
Is that my exact wording?
Yeah.
Could do what?
Could make the playoffs. Could be really good.
No, you're just saying it.
Going from worst in their division to first.
Oh, I said that because the NFC South sucks.
Yeah, that's true. I said the Chargers were a possibility, but they'd have to get past the Chiefs. Max said
Mikey.
Max
Put that on a t-shirt.
Max says the Vikings would be last in their division.
Okay. Everyone else agreed with me before the season started. No one else thought that Sam Darnold would be a competent quarterback in 2024. Well, you did, but that's not the point here.
I was the only one. Wasn't very many. Okay, that's all my NFL notes, and we probably should move on.
We already have recorded for almost an hour.
Okay.
We haven't even touched the Kings, so we have so much to talk about for them.
Okay. If we, I don't know if
Let me delete all my tabs relating to the...
Okay, so let's, if everyone wants to take your drink.
Okay.
If you're listening to the NFL side of things, like I know some of our listeners do.
This is your... This is your... Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Okay, now it's time for the Kings talk.
Get your popcorn. Was Mike Brown the problem?
He wasn't the solution.
Was he the problem? So Mike Brown, the coaching aspect of Mike Brown,
yes,
like calling plays, lineups, was not the problem with Mike Brown. How he coached players is not the problem. It's the problem of that I don't know if the players kept listening to him. it seemed that like he sort of lost the locker room in some way.
Yeah, and I've heard this from a couple other Kings radio people.
Yes,
and they say that when a team or a coach, coach loses the locker room, it's always different, and it's always like it's not like everybody's like talking in the corner. You're like, oh, like they're not when the coach is talking. No, it's not that. And he says it's always it doesn't feel like the coach has lost the locker room. But did he lose the locker room? Like the other part I would say here is when they fired Mike Brown, I still don't believe they should have fired Mike Brown.
Yes,
but maybe they needed to. I think there's a difference there. Mike Brown is a good coach,
but is he the good?
But to save the Kings season, they had to do something after that Pistons loss.
Yes,
something had to happen. I thought it would be a trade, but you can't trade people like instantly. The only thing
they tried to trade someone. They couldn't make a trade, so they went. So Monte McNair went. I have to do something, and fired Mike Brown.
Yeah. Now, that's one part of it. And like Mike Brown is a good guy.
Yes,
he's an awesome dude. Like even De'Aaron Fox had dinner with him like a week ago, which is like a couple weeks after he got fired. So like he's Mike Brown, still probably in town. Hope he's listening. Love you, Mike Brown. You're a great player.
If you're listening,
awesome.
Can I have an autograph? I don't know. Why are you here?
I'd love you to be listening. But like he's a good coach. Like he's won Coach of the Year twice. Like he coached LeBron James and got to the finals. Like he's a good coach. Like he's loved by all of his players. But for some reason, this instance of the Kings needed a new voice. And Doug Christie's that new voice.
With the same exact players. With the same exact roster. No one was added. Nothing was changed except for how we were playing. Now, does the Lakers game really count as Doug Christie's first game as a head coach?
No.
No, not really.
No.
But it's on his record, so.
Yeah, so he's technically 9-2.
But
9 of the last 10, though.
Yes. And you lose to the Milwaukee Bucks, which are one of the best teams in the league, but you also beat the Celtics.
In Boston?
In Boston.
Oh, I didn't go through all the good games. Like the Miami game? Was that double? That was the double overtime game?
That was the double overtime game?
Didn't they also beat the 76ers that they came back from like
17?
Yeah, 17 down and like went on like a huge run at the end of the game. Like,
I said this early in the season. This seems like a more mature Kings team. And they were at one point when I thought they were just winning and losing and winning and losing and winning and losing.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to pick it up later in the season. Not exactly like how they won 8 in a row, but I thought or 7 in a row. I like how they won 7 in a row, but I thought they were going to pick it up at some point in the season.
Yeah.
And then they lost 6 in a row. And they went, and then no,
it was 5 in a row. He got fired.
5 in a row, and I go, what is happening? Especially with the Indiana game. No. Okay.
Yeah, it was
the straw that broke the camel's back was the Indiana. No, the straw that hurt the camel's back was the Indiana game. You go out and lose 122-95 against the Indiana Pacers. Something needs to change.
In your gym. It's not on the road.
In
your gym.
This is
in your Golden One Center.
And the entire crowd is dead silent because who wants to?
I think they were booing too.
Yeah,
they started booing in that game. So
who wants to cheer for your team when that's happening?
Yeah.
And then you go out and play the Pistons. It's the Detroit Pistons. You almost win the game.
And you lost to him last year.
Yeah.
Like you lost to him at home last year.
Okay. Let me finish before you start getting mad again and you start ranting. You lose to the Detroit Pistons. Now, this Detroit team is better than they were last year, which is not a high bar, but they are better than they were last year. Cade Cunningham is sort of changing the culture in Detroit and giving them some hope. They might be at least a play-in team. At most a play-in team this year. And you go in and lose to them by a 4-point play?
Yeah.
Something has to change. You don't know the first thing about defending a 3-point lead if you give up a 4-point play.
I know. And if you look back at that game and you look at like one of the things that we heard he got fired for, and who knows, this is all the rumors, was Mike Brown got fired because of how he was picking on players. Now, if players can't get picked on publicly by their coaches, like we said this in the podcast
Yeah.
that we lost the video and Max got his allergic reaction to.
My bad.
Of
We also talked a lot about on that podcast about the Mike Brown firing
Yeah.
and how we were mad about it and other things.
so like he said stuff publicly of saying, "Hey, I told the players to do this and they didn't do it."
Mm-hmm.
And if you look back on it now, like a couple weeks later, you're like, that's him losing the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Like he told them, "Hey, you're supposed to do this, and you didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't paying attention enough." And Doug Christie has got their attention. So, like they have moved.
One thing, I think it's one thing that I heard. I don't know if I don't know if I have the exact numbers, but Doug Christie has. I'm not going to say the exact numbers from what I remember because what I remember doesn't sound very accurate. But Doug Christie has shortened practices, and then from what it is what is inside my head. I am 98% sure it's not right, but I'm going to go with it because it's what I have in my head right now. Doug Christie shortened practices by 2 hours.
Well, I know Mike Brown loved to practice.
Yes.
And so that could be some of the things that they're getting to is, hey, he's shortened practice and making sure the players are getting their rest, which in a long season
is important. And
yeah,
you can see almost the immediate difference with that. Besides the Lakers game, you won 9 out of your last 10.
Yeah.
That's insane for me as a Kings fan to say that we won 9 out of our last 10.
Yeah, we're basically the hottest team in the league right now.
Mm-hmm. We have national media attention because you've won 9 of your last 10.
Yeah.
Like, this is some stuff that the Cavaliers and the Thunder are doing, and we're doing it. We've jumped from 13-9 to 22-20.
So we were 12th in the West, and now we're up to tied for 8th.
Yes.
I'm going back here and trying to see how far behind we were of 8th spot back at that time. So it was like around December 29th.
We are now 1 game behind the 6th seed from being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Not the playing game, the playoffs.
1 game.
1 game.
And we have the same amount of wins. So I think it's like we're tied with 22 wins with the Lakers. They're 22-18. We're 22-20.
Yeah.
So, like, if they just got to lose 2 games and we're tied, Dallas technically is a half game ahead of us. But either way, you're within a half game to a game of being in the 6th seed, of being totally in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lakers are going to keep that. Dallas will be a tough competition to get into the top 6. Totally agree with on that. Can the Kings get in the top 6? I think they can. If I was to look forward, but it all depends on how they're playing. Like if I was, it's really hard to give a prediction of how they're going to finish because I don't know what their true Kings are going to be. Like the way they're playing right now.
If the way that they're playing right now, they should be finished like the 4th seed.
Yeah, they could totally get up to the top 4.
But how I think they want to go, it's like 6, 7.
Yeah. So are you ready for some stats on how good they're playing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've gone over their win percentage from October. So I looked at the stats. So I have the before Mike. I have the Mike Brown era and the Doug Christie era, but the Doug Christie era I only did the last 10 games. So I kind of threw the first game of Doug Christie under the Mike Brown era. Okay.
Yes.
When I did all these stats. So before, the Kings in win percentage were number 23 at .406.
That's not very good.
The last 10 games, they're number 1 because they've won 9 out of 10. Now the Cavs, Pacers, and Oklahoma City have all won 8. But we are 23. Now, overall in the season today, we went, so in these 10 games, we went from 23 win percentage to number 13th in the league. Huge change. That's East and West, so up to 13th in the league. Points per game, we were number 10th. In the last 10 games, we're number 1. Going from 115 to 122. Offensive rating, some people like that one better. That one's not as big of a jump. We went from number 8 at 114 to number 6 at 117.9. This is the bigger one, though, is defensive rating. We were number 17th before to number 5 in the last 10 games. We're number 5 in defensive rating overall. And it did move our total season average, went from 17 to 13. So for the total season, we're at 13. Our plus minus, we were number 15th in the league at 0.8. The last 10 games were number 3 at 9.1 is our plus minus. Overall, we went from 15th to the 11th. Rebounds per game, we were 18th before, and number 2 in rebounds per game. Pace, we were 17th. Pace, we were in the last 10, we're 4th. Effective field goal percentage, that was actually, we stayed about the same. Assist ratio, we're about the same. And assist to turnover, we went a little bit better. It went from 9 to 5. So I looked at a whole bunch of different stuff to see what popped out. But that's kind of the big ones right there, is like defensive rating is actually the best. Offensive rating got a little bit better, especially with our points per game. And really 3-point field goal percentage also, too. The last one I didn't say is 3-point field goal percentage. We were number 24, shooting 34% from 3. In the last 10 games, we're number 7, shooting 37.3%. So there's all your nerds part of the game of this podcast, is how the Kings are doing in this. So huge improvement. Really that points out to is how are the Kings playing better is from offensively. I think they're getting back to what they looked like in the original Beam team the first year, where they've simplified the offense and it's much more dribble handoffs. DeMar DeRozan is not dribbling the ball out of the air out of the ball type of thing. He's more getting his shots a little bit more in the offense, but it's getting a lot more back to what the Kings did good 2 years ago offensively. And defensively, they've just picked things up. They are way more active. I know that could be a little bit of Keon Ellis playing a lot more. Devin Carter is actually healthy. Like they've actually, he was not there in the Mike Brown era, of course, because he was injured all season. But Devin Carter's now played a couple games. So they actually had like everybody healthy for like 2 or 3 games during this 10-game stretch. That's definitely helping. But their defensive intensity, which is where I even list like steals per game.
Sorry, I'm looking something up right now.
They went from number 16 in steals per game up to number 9 during the last 10. So like their defensive intensity, I wish they had deflections on the stats I was looking at, because their deflections are up like crazy.
Okay, that's what I have.
Like their overall assists are getting better. So like, they're just, if I was to summarize how the Kings are doing right now, I'm going to use the Keon Ellis quote from last night. They be chilling. They're just chilling. Here's the full thing. I really just be chilling for real, Ellis said following the win. I just be chilling when I'm out in the court. I'm just playing basketball, trying to make the right plays, and I think the joy just comes from within. He'd just be chilling.
I'd just be chilling.
Just be chilling.
That's crazy. I did not think you'd be saying that right now. Okay. Can I share one thing that I've been looking at? So I did say that we're getting national media attention. By national media attention, I mean we're getting some tweets sometimes.
Because The Athletic, during this 7-game win streak, moved us from 17th
to 17th.
Okay.
I'm looking at other things. Let's go at the ESPN power ranking.
Okay, go for it.
I tried looking up the Athletic one, and it sent me the one from 2 years ago. So I went, why does it say the Kings have 47 wins? Oh, so I went, that one's out of date. So I couldn't find the newest one. Okay. Anyway, Sacramento Kings. This is from last week's. They usually post theirs on Wednesdays, and we're doing this Tuesday night. So this
is Monday
night. So they should post it Tuesday night. So they might be different by the time this uploads. I don't know what it's going to be when it uploads, but at the time of recording this, when we are 2 games from now, we were 20-20. We just lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. We went up from 20th place, honestly deserved, to 16th. Now, yeah, that makes sense as the 12th seed in the West. That makes sense.
I'm curious to see what we look like now after. We played the Wizards not very much. But continuing this thing and actually being, where we're at. Do you have any other ones that you're looking up?
Some other ones from NBA.com. This is latest. It has us at 22-20. Last week they had us at 15th. Now we are 13th.
Oh, okay.
From Fox Sports. I don't know when this is, but we are 13th on Fox Sports. I don't know what they had us previously.
Okay.
Does it show me? No, it does not. Just the numbers. Okay. And then this from NBC Sports is also from last week. It doesn't have the updated one. It's 20-20 again. They had us at 11th. 11th.
Wow.
Almost at top 10.
Yeah.
Milwaukee snapped the 7-game winning streak, but the good vibes are still flowing in Sacramento. This looks like a playoff team. That's the quote.
Did you get the CBS Sports one?
I did not get the CBS
Okay,
Sports
so
one.
I got that one. CBS Sports. We were the big risers of the week. Now this was posted on the 16th, so I think that was last Thursday or Friday last week. And they went up 4 spots, so they went from 19 to 15. So this part of the season making a four thing jump.
Oh wait, it says this last week on NBC Sports, the Kings were 19th. We jumped up 8 spots.
Wow,
that is crazy.
Yeah,
that's almost 1 spot for every win.
Yeah. So, all the good things are here. One of the things I wanted to go back to Keon Ellis. He is now he's a defensive specialist, right?
Yes.
He is exactly what the Kings need as a 3-and-D player. He's shooting 44.6% for the season from 3. From 3, 44.6. He is now tied for 7th best in the entire NBA shooting percentage. But do you know who's number 1 in 3-point field goal percentage?
I know this.
Who is it?
It's because he does exactly what I do whenever I play basketball. I only shoot when I'm wide open. Domantas Sabonis does the exact same thing.
What's your field goal percentage from 3?
Well, 50 because I missed one yesterday, but it used to be 100%. I was 1 for 1 before. But
now you're 1 for 2 from 3.
And also when I shot the ball, the entire bench went, "No, your shooting percentage." But that is not the point here.
It was the end of a quarter, and you actually it was close to going in.
It hit off the hit the back. It hit the backboard. It hit the front of the rim, and then it bounced out.
Yeah.
So it was close. I almost banked it in. Did the camera just turn off? That's annoying. I swear.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me double check this.
Okay.
Hello? Are you alive? No, you keep talking.
Okay.
It just won't have a camera on you.
Okay, Keon has things. Here's a quote from Doug Christie. Keon has things that you don't teach, his instincts and timing and different things on defense. He's found his way. He's found his shot and his shooting. It comes and goes, but he continues to hone it. He continues to work on it. And I try to give him the confidence to shoot the basketball. If you're open, we trust you. We watch what you do. We watch you do your work. Under Christie, Keon Ellis is averaging 11.3 points per game on 50.9% shooting from 3 and 25 minutes per game. Now, some of those he's playing 25 minutes a game and he's scoring more because De'Aaron Fox was out a couple of games and Keegan Murray was out a few games. So, of course, Keon Ellis started those games. So it's a little bit skewed. It's not just because he's playing more minutes. He is playing more minutes under Doug Christie. Okay, so we may not get a video on me. So, but Keon Ellis is playing pretty good.
Just put the clown image up again.
The other thing is Malik Monk in his last 10 games is averaging 22 points per game, 7.3 assists, 4 rebounds, and 1.4 steals. Like, the Malik Monk and Sabonis pick and roll is awesome. So I love that. I
didn't think Malik Monk starting was the answer, but I think Kevin Huerter not starting was the answer. I'm going to be honest.
That's probably a bigger thing.
I also don't think Kevin Huerter fits on this team for the player that he is, because he hasn't been a great 3-point shooter, and that's what we wanted him to be.
Yeah.
And now he's doing better on defensive than he was, but he's still not doing good. So
he has a couple moments every game, but he also has
we don't need
games.
a couple moments every game. We need Keon Ellis out there every game. We need an entire player who is known for defense and who has a wingspan that's taller than I am.
And then Doug Christie is starting to shrink Kevin Huerter's minutes, so he is starting to do that.
I think if there's a way to trade Kevin Huerter for Cam Johnson, do it a million times over. Push the do it now button.
Do you want to talk about trades options?
I want to talk about trade options. There's a trade that I heard that I forget the second player for it. That's from the Nets besides Cam Johnson, but I know it's the second player that's basically just for salary.
Okay.
But if we could trade, I just hit the mic again. If we could trade Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, and let's say a first-round pick in a couple of years and a second-round pick this year, I'd be because this is a win-now move if we're trading like this. If we're doing that, I'd be totally fine with trading Cam Johnson for that. I'd also, the Jazz are 10-30, so they might want to trade Lauri Markkanen, but he's also very, very expensive because
we're not going to get Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
The one that I have is
I want him so bad though. He'd be so good.
It sounds like the Kings
want Kyle Kuzma.
No,
I don't.
No, that's definitely not it. Which we can
please don't. I don't want him. I've said this for years. Don't give me Kyle Kuzma.
No, I do not. Especially after the way he played in Sacramento last night. He played horrible in Sacramento last night.
I sort of wanted him before we traded Buddy Hield, and then we did trade Buddy Hield, and I saw what he did on the Wizards, and I went, you know what? Hard pass.
Yeah, no. So
I'm putting the tripod away, by the way.
Is it Cam Johnson or John Collins? So John Collins is on Utah Jazz. The Kings have been linked to both publicly.
Yes.
And it sure seems like Cam Johnson is option 1, John Collins is option 2. So Money Millionaire's trying to come up with all these different options of that you'd come up with. Now, the funny thing is if you just Google in Kings rumors and you list all these different things, some people put like some really crazy trade rumors out there, but unless we had like
according to the Fanspo, which is like the trade machine for the NBA, Cam Johnson is the number 1 trending player.
Yeah, well,
I'm so glad it's not De'Aaron Fox anymore.
I know.
Oh, it was so good not seeing his name anywhere close in the top 30.
Max, let me just ask you the question. I could go through a whole bunch of things here, and I have a whole bunch of notes prepared of Cam Johnson versus John Collins. Mm-hmm. Before I go through this, is there who would you want more between Cam Johnson and John Collins?
Well, John Collins is more of a 3-point shooter, right? Is that correct?
No.
That I don't know who I'm thinking of then.
John Collins is 6'9". Mm-hmm. He is more of a modern day 4, which can play some small ball 5. So he's 6'9". He's a leaper, a jumper.
Cam Johnson is 6'8".
Yeah, so there's 6'8", 6'9", not too much difference.
How old is not Cam Johnson? How old is John Collins? Because Cam's 28.
He's 27.
So that doesn't really matter then.
Yes, so contract-wise, John Collins has 2 years left for $53 million, so he has 26 and 26. Technically, next year is a player option, so you could trade for him and potentially lose him.
Yeah.
But you're probably going to get him for less.
But Cam Johnson has 3 years left in his deal.
Including this year, so he has 2 more, and it's also less. He is only owed, he's 3 years for 65, which he's like 22 this year, 20 next year, and then 22.
Wait, you could just trade Kevin Huerter for Cam Johnson straight up for salary cap?
You could do Kevin Huerter plus 1 minimum scale contracts. You do not need to trade Trey Lyles to get Cam Johnson.
Okay, but would the Nets do that?
You could trade Doug McDermott and Kevin Huerter.
I'd do that. I'd do that so fast.
Now, the only thing is you probably have to include at least 1 first-round draft pick.
That's fine.
And from a Kings perspective,
because if I'm trading for Cam Johnson, I want the Kings to win now. I don't.
Yeah.
I think if they're gonna have Cam Johnson, DeMontis Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox. Oh my gosh, that team sounds so good on paper.
Well, Cam Johnson has to come off the bench unless you're putting Malik Monk back on the bench.
No, I
think Cam Johnson's coming off the bench. Which is perfectly fine. When he was in Phoenix, he came off the bench, and when they went to the finals,
he came off the bench.
So
that'd be perfectly fine for me. We just need taller players. That's why we're playing Alex Lenmore, because we just need taller players.
Yeah. So in some ways, because of the contract situation, I think I'd like Cam Johnson more than John Collins as my preference. But the Kings would probably have to give a first-round draft pick to give that. Now, they couldn't trade a first-round draft pick till 2027 because of the Kevin Huerter trade. And they technically only have access to their 2029 second-round draft pick, so they can only trade 1 second-round draft pick in this trade season because of other things.
Would you trade Kevin Huerter and Jordan McLaughlin? I'd say yes.
If that's what it took to get me Cam Johnson, I would.
And also draft picks, but
you have to probably do 1 draft pick.
Okay.
At this point, looking at everything that you would need, I would probably not include Devin Carter. Now, if I had to get over the thing, unless I did, if I could trade Devin Carter and not trade a first-round draft pick, I might do that, but I might not. Either way, I think I'm leaning toward Cam Johnson more, but John Collins is a really close, plan B. For point-wise, looks like John Collins is averaging 43.8% from three-point range, so he is a shooter. Cam Johnson is averaging 42.8%, so John Collins is technically shooting better from 3 than Cam Johnson is. Cam Johnson is averaging 19.6 points per game. Now, he's probably going to shoot less with the Kings, so he's probably not going to average 19. Yeah. He only averages 4 rebounds a game, 3 assists. John Collins is can block shots. He averages about 0.9 blocks per game, 2.5 assists, 8 rebounds, and 17.9. So John Collins is roughly 18 points per game, and Cam Johnson is 19.5 points per game. You know, Cam Johnson has a better contract, and this was a quote from the Kings Beat. Cam Johnson has a better contract. This is his conclusion, and is under team control for longer and is a better defensive player. Collins plays with more force, is a better rebounder, and a more versatile scorer.
Yes.
They're both interesting options for the Kings. Both players have a history of missing games, though. They both have a history of being injured. Both players are currently missing time due to injury.
Okay.
They're both that's a risk to both options. But when the entire picture is in view, a strong argument can be made for either player. Both players hit the 3-ball at a high clip. Johnson would improve the Kings' defensive versatility from switching from 2 to 4. Probably could even guard a point guard if you need him to.
But you have Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis for that.
And Devin Carter a little bit too. John Collins can block shots, though, and his ability to hit the glass would improve your already strong rebounding.
Yes.
So block shots, rebounding, what you get from John Collins more than what you get from Cam Johnson. And Collins is likely available for less. Like, you may not have to attach a first-round draft pick for him, but Cam Johnson, you probably will. He's more established scorers. Like, if you need a post-up option, John Collins is better for that. Cam Johnson is majority of his points, like even his shots with the Nets, majority of them are from spot-up, wide-open threes. So he's a much better, in the Kings offense, he's not going to, demand the ball. He's more of a spot-up shooter.
Yes.
John Collins would instantly bolster one of the worst scoring units in the league. Both of them probably would do that.
Yeah.
And when you factor in he's younger and a potential matchup problem for opposing columns, Collins feels like the more impactful option, according to James Hammond, the Kings Beat. So that was a quote from him. I still think I'd like Cam Johnson more. He is a year older, but he's under longer control. In a little bit cheaper.
Okay, so if you're looking specifically for this year, John Collins sounds like the more prosperous one because he's slightly younger, but only by like a year or maybe even a few months because one's 28, one's 27. So I don't really think time is a big problem for either of them.
That's not a big deal. Yeah.
Okay.
They're both in their primes.
Yes, they're both in their primes. My main thought is that John Collins sounds like the more explosive player. But he would need more time with. He would need to get the most out of John Collins, you need to give him the ball. But to get the most out of Cam Johnson, he needs to be an assistive player. So do you want another leader who can go out and score and get buckets and also play defensive on your side? He'll be a really good 6th, 7th man off the bench. Or do you want someone who will perfectly fit into your offense or defense and just slot in, and you'll notice that he's there. You'll notice you'll notice that he's there because of the difference that he makes. But it'll just make sense in you. It's not like this. It's like this big changing moment that Cam Johnson on the team suddenly.
Yeah, John Collins would change a little bit.
Yeah,
John Collins could also play your backup 5 instead of Trey Lyles. So he's a little bit. He can handle the ball at the top. He could be your assist. Your dribble handoff. He could play the backup 5 minutes with Sabonis. And I think John Collins and Trey Lyles together. Both of them are a little bit more muscle, so that you play them together in the second unit would actually be really good. So you're not trading Trey Lyles. I think we need to keep Trey Lyles. And John Collins could be more of a lob threat with Malik Monk. Like Malik Monk does really good with lob threats.
Yeah.
So I think John Collins could be good for that. But that's where you kind of go back and forth. And you're like, they both have pluses.
Okay, so
both have things.
The ultimate thing that I think this comes down to is that John Collins is 6'11".
No, I thought he's 6'9" is what I got looked up.
Oh, sorry. Wingspan is 6'11".
Okay.
Wingspan is 6'11".
Yes.
And height is 6'9".
Yes.
And then I don't have the wingspan for Cam Johnson. Probably
6'10".
6'10", and he has a 6'8" wingspan.
Yes, 6'8",
so
6'10" wingspan.
I think Johnson wouldn't really play a backup 5 position.
No, he's
backup 4, but
3 or 4.
Collins would be your backup 5. So I think Collins would be the better choice because you can move Trey Lyles to the forward really easily.
Oh yeah,
but Collins you can move. But Collins you can also move to the forward really easily if you need him to.
But he can play with because he can shoot and Sabonis can shoot.
So I think
Collins would be an interesting fit because both of them could shoot and you can play a 5-out offense like they do. Both can shoot threes, and then they're both really good rebounders and stuff like that. So Cam Johnson is like the better player. But seamless fit.
A seamless fit. He'd fit really well. But I don't know if John Collins would be the better player for the Kings or what the Kings need.
Yeah. The one thing that scares with me is his player option for next year's.
That's the big thing is that if John Collins goes out and balls out next year or this year with the Kings, will he even stay? Or will another team, like how Jalen Brunson balled out for the Mavericks and then he immediately left and became this all-star, superstar level player for the Knicks?
Well, but I think John Collins realizes
Mavericks?
like he was really good on the Hawks. He kind of rebuilt himself on the Jazz, but it's been a few seasons. So like. And the Jazz aren't going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
He wants to be back in the playoffs. So, like, if he finds a good fit, like maybe Malik Monk, like, hey, I stayed here. So I think it would be kind of good to get, I'd be happy with both. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
I'd be very happy with both.
I would be so happy with both. It's just which one is the better choice.
I know.
Stop hitting the mic.
So I would kind of want Cam Johnson. But I am like, it's so close that I would love to have either one of them. Please get one of them. Please trade Kevin Huerter for one of them.
Please trade Kevin Huerter. I don't think he's
one of the things that they did mention here
well.
is the cost to get John Collins
is probably less than Cam Johnson.
You might have to include more players, but you may not have to include more
draft picks.
Like maybe you include your 2029 and second round draft pick, but you might have to include either Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, or keep Trey Lyles, but then you have to include, like, say, maybe a Colby Jones, kind of a younger guy, Jordan McLaughlin, Doug McDermott, type of thing. Or you might have to include Kevin Huerter with 3 other players, which I'm fine with, because you need that. Anyway, so we've gotten pretty good here. The Kings are doing awesome type of thing. Looking forward to all that. Looking forward to see what the Kings are going to do from a trade perspective. I don't know. We should have another draft pick or another podcast.
Yes.
Before the trade deadline. I would love to see the Kings not wait till the deadline, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So we'll see how the Kings do with that. February 6th, I think, is the trade deadline type of thing.
I really want the Kings to be good this year, and I feel this week, if we can at least be close with the Nuggets, because the Nuggets are a really good team, I think that if we can be close to the Nuggets at least, that's going to be a big change for the season. Because how we're playing right now, we're going to beat the Warriors. That's not a question in my mind.
Hopefully. And then we go to a 6-game road trip.
Yes, and we go on a 6-game road trip. But if we're able to beat the Nuggets, I think we're going to be set. I think we're going to be pretty set for making the play-in or making the playoffs. I think we're set for making the play-in right now. For general.
Well, make the play-in, yes, but that's not.
But that's not what we want. I think that if we can beat the Nuggets, we might. Yeah. We might go to the playoffs.
The hard thing about saying if the Kings will make the playoffs, make a prediction, like we said, they're going to win 51 or 52 back at the beginning of the season, and they still technically can.
They could. They could if they keep on winning like they are. They could.
But can they keep this up? And when they lost to Milwaukee, this long size, you don't have anybody to guard Giannis. If you get a Cam Johnson and a John Collins, you have somebody else to throw at them. We also lost Keegan Murray for a couple of games for injury because of his ankle, which he's playing way better after that. So thank you for letting him sit off a few games.
Thank the Lord.
But you did not have anybody to replace him. You replaced him with Keon Ellis, and you went smaller. Now, Keon Ellis, he's been playing really good.
Yeah.
But against Giannis, you kind of need some size. And you're going to play some size in the playoffs. So you need a Cam Johnson or a John Collins, one of those two. So, again, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate your listening for this, and this was a longer one because it's been a few weeks for us to do it.
Yeah, it's almost an hour and
a half.
I try to drag this out so it's exactly an hour and 30 minutes. I have to sit here for a minute straight if I want to do that.
No, okay. Let's wrap it up, Max.
Thank you for listening to the Eastman Sport Report, and we'll see you guys next time.